What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip, and welcome back to another video. Cause today we are reviewing another high-grade Gunpla, and that would be the HG Wing Gundam, of course, from Gundam Wing. Now, while this model is actually made in 2014, I actually got this brand new from the local shopping mall yesterday, and you know what? I decided I'm gonna build this thing. And of course, everyone watching out there, you're likely from the West, and obviously, you know, what made Gundam and maybe anime in general popular. So one of the animes that became popular in the West would be Gundam Wing. And here's actually another trivia for you. Well, yes, like the anime boom had started in around the year 2000 when Cartoon Network's Toonami block aired animes like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Gundam Wing, among others. You know, they were, of course, aired in America. But here's news for you. As a Filipino, we actually got Gundam Wing first back in 1998. So that's a trivia for you. So yeah, weird flex, but okay. So I decided to get Wing Gundam Zero because it is one of my favorite mobile suits in the anime and one of my favorite mobile suits in the Gundam franchise in general. I'm still hoping to get Heavy Arms or a Heavy Arms Kai and a Shenlong Gundam. I like those two, but I really much prefer the anime, the TV anime version rather than the Endless Waltz ones. I mean, those have become iconic designs on their own, but again, I prefer the TV version much better. And I also decided to get this one. So here's a personal story. Before we get into the actual review, sorry guys. So back when I was 10 years old, it was actually no. It was around December 1999. So I decided, I want to get one for I want to get a Gundam for Christmas, and that time I actually had a Wing Gundam. It was a no grade version, or I guess what would be the equivalent to the entry grade nowadays, because those were the more simple kits that had less parts, but also they were less colorful. They had less stickers to color correct, or they had less color separated parts and whatnot. So my Wing Gundam, so the original one, right? It broke because I was a kid and I didn't know how to take care of my Gunpla back then. So I bought my Wing Gundam around 1998, so late, about a year before that, right? So it broke down, and I decided to replace it with a Wing Zero because, as with the anime, the natural progression was from the Wing Gundam to the Wing Zero. So I got myself the no grade version back then. And then one day while I was playing with it, I misplaced it somewhere and never found it again. So I kind of owe this to my 10-year-old self, or my 10-year-old self, to replace that missing mobile suit. So now I have this guy right here. Again, one of the reasons is that, but still, the main reason is I much prefer this better than the Endless Waltz one. But nonetheless, let's get to the actual review, and let's take a look at the finished product right here. Right. So as you can see, this is the main mobile suit. Of course, for the accessories, we have the twin buster rifle, we have the shield, and we have some beam sabers right here. Now, of course, there are two of them, but I'm only showing one for this video. So, anyways, let's get into the articulation. I'm gonna remove this from this stand. So this is actually a Shokugan action base that, actually, like any 3 millimeter that, so any 3 millimeter peg would fit in just nicely to the parts that require an action base. Again, any 3 millimeter I can't pronounce things right, but we're going on with this one. So any 3mm peg action base will do nicely. But let's get that out of the way. So again, we have the twin buster rifle, and I'm gonna get this off of the hand, and I'm gonna put the mobile suit somewhere. So as you can see, one of the handles is folded. You can fold one out. However, if you are going to place them in one hand, you're gonna have to fold one of the handles and use only one of them, like I did earlier, because having them both down would mean that it would not fit. So again, one hand, and even though the twin buster rifle is held in one hand, it does fit nicely, and it's actually not that heavy, no, from what it looks. But yeah, now we're gonna separate the twin buster rifle as you do. So you just separate them normally, and there we go. So what I'm gonna do is fold out this handle right here, and now I'm going to take off one of the beam sabers, and then I'm also going to take out the shield. So there is, and I dropped it, so there's a connector part, and you can actually fold it in like so. So fold this way, and that will be used later for transformation. So I am going to put this in the left hand. I'm going to put this in the right hand, and now what I'm gonna do is have the wing 0 do its one of iconic poses. Right? Kind of take some time. But yeah. So this is like, in the anime where when Hero splits the twin buster rifle and spins around like so, wiping out all the enemies in range. However, when we actually like try to put these together, like the arms kind of get in the way, so you really can't do the twin buster rifle shot like what you would see on the box like this. So it's actually impossible to do with both hands. Or like if you want to put the beam rifle together, so actually I found it hard to do. So what I just do here is get them as close as possible, but still they're not completely attached. That's the closest thing I could probably get to imitating the pose in the box. Or if we're gonna do like the endless waltz pose, but again, it's not gonna work that way. I understand. All right. So of course, for the articulation, we have the head, right? So it can turn around 360 basically, and it's gonna be, you know, uh, essential because we're going to transform this guy. So the arms, so you kind of have to be careful with the arms because unlike the previous model that I've reviewed before, so the Immortal Justice, like you can do an arm swivel, but not so much because there's a peg inside that kind of moves around inward, and it's kind of hard to control. So the wings, so you can pivot these open. Like I remember my no grade. So the wings are like just pieces of plastic. So they don't have this hinge joint like this one. So what you do is like they were attached to the wing or the the thruster parts like so, and then you actually have to remove them, and like I believe there were some holes like in this part. So you actually have to remove them and insert those wings into the holes on the thruster region. You probably can't see it on camera, but yeah, that's how I did with my no grade before. So now we have the wings open again with the Buster Rifle pose like that. So the wings, of course, they also move, right? Like so. And there is a little bit of an ab crunch here, and the torso is on a ball joint, so you kind of get that 360 spin. And again, the 360 spin is gonna be quite pivotal in the transformation that we're gonna do later. So we have the side skirts opening, and the legs kind of open outward like so. Well, yeah. So for the front skirt, I've decided to separate them from the joints. So you can just have them in one piece, but I decided to cut the middle. Like, it kind of looks more realistic if you do it like that. So the knees, so the legs, so the back kind of opens up. Again, this is in relation to the transformation that we can see earlier. So the feet are also on ball joint, and there's a flap on the foot as well. So there is the feet. However, I do find it hard to pose the Gundam or the Wing Zero standing because of this. It's actually kind of hard to make it stand on two legs. Yeah, I guess that's one issue. But so this particular model, so as you can see, so the shoulders, yeah, there should have been some black parts in there. I mean, you can do panel lining. I didn't. I just don't panel line. I'm just too lazy to do that. But I actually remember my no grades. Ironically, they had stickers to color correct those dark parts, both front and back sides. Yeah, I still remember. So both the Wing Gundam and the Wing Zero had the stickers to color correct this particular one. What really amazed me, so like the clear green parts on the torso, there is also a foil sticker inside. Well, it's up to you whether to put that sticker. I put mine, but it really pops out. Again, it's the same kind of color as the beam saber. And one thing about the beam saber, and I think I'm gonna sneeze, but we're gonna go on. So there was also an issue with the beam saber, by the way. So when I put one of the beam sabers into the handle, it kind of felt loose. So I decided to put some glue on it so that it would fit, or at least it wouldn't fall off. It worked. However, when I did the other one, so ironically, I found it too tight, so I tried to pull out the beam effect. And I think the nub or the peg that attaches into the beam saber like just kind of melted and bent. So what I did is I just cut it with my nipper, like filed it a little bit, and then put some glue, put it back on, and actually works like a charm. And I believe that this is actually the beam saber I'm talking about because of the glue marks. So yeah, I think it's this guy, but it still works nonetheless. So what I'm gonna do right now is actually turn it into the Neo Bird mode. Like, I still remember how to do it from the no grade. So what I'm gonna do is turn the head 180 degrees to the back. I'm also gonna turn the legs like this. Right? And I mean, if you're some of the people who, you know, who already have this model, you know what I'm doing, right? So I'm just gonna remove the beam rifles. Actually, like, I'm gonna flip out the thruster here, I guess. No. I'm gonna open the wings. Yeah, it's much more easier, right? Much easier. So I'm gonna set this aside first. So attach these to the shield. Ta-da. And then we're gonna put it on the backpack like so. And now we have our Neo Bird mode. So this isn't actually the transformation because for the feet, there are actually parts that you need to attach if you want to make it into the bird mode. So this is a bit of a parts former. But again, I decided not to do that. I just think it's unnecessary. But if you do that, so you're gonna take off the feet here and open up these parts so that, you know, you can put those transformed feet. And I believe like you do have to bend the legs kind of inward, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna keep the legs kind of straight. But more or less, this is the Neo Bird mode of the Wing Zero, right? Especially if you look from this angle. And there is a peg right here, so I am going to attach it to the action base like so. There we go. All right. So it looks fine like this one. Yeah. So overall, so while I'm talking about my overall thoughts on this one, I am going to take the time to, you know, put it back into mobile suit mode. So like I'm saying, for the overall concept, again, this is a really great unit. And even though I had some issues, so again, the beam saber parts that kind of, you know, fell apart when I put glue on them, ironically, by putting back some glue, so they work just fine. And the feet that don't really like to kind of bend outwards, so you can make it stand more dynamically. So I would say this one would probably look better on an action base in a floating or hovering position. And but again, all those issues aside, this even though it's again from basically 11 years ago, and because it is brand new out of the box, so it still feels new as well. So again, I really like the design of the Wing Zero in general. I guess, to be completely honest, what makes me like this Wing Zero even more, you know, compared to the Wing Gundam or the Endless Waltz versions, would be the colors. This is much more colorful than the Wing Gundam. Like the shoulders are, I believe, like were completely blue, right? But like there's more red, and the side skirts are red, so the additional red really pops out. And again, like the clear green parts, even though they're minimal, They also stand out. So the yellow parts as well. Again, this is in general a very colorful unit to look at. So most of the parts are colorful. Yeah. Again, the Wing Zero has an iconic design as well, even though it was surpassed by the Endless Waltz version. But again, this still has a place in my heart compared to the Endless Waltz version. Yeah. So while I'm trying to put back the beam rifle or the Buster rifle, again, so one hand back in there and put back the shield. So I typically fit the shield around the wrist like this. There we go. And then put back the beam saber on the left hand, even though technically it would be held. There's actually like an extending version. Yeah, the shield can extend. Yeah. So like you can do like a pile bunker with a shield if you want to. And I believe, yeah, other features like the white parts on the shoulder actually open, and of course in the anime this would be where the beam sabers are stored. I mean, it would have been nice if they also had that kind of feature as well. Like, it doesn't have to be like you have a beam saber handle in there, but I still like the fact that they can open up like so. So maybe if you customize this kit and have like a beam saber handle inside, you probably can create or recreate, scenes where Wing Zero is pulling out the beam saber from the shoulder. Yeah. So, well, this mobile suit, or this model rather, has limitations when it comes to like I would say accessories, because like the hands, for example, they're just like the grippy hands, and they don't have like open hands or any other articulated hands that show more expressiveness. But again, it is a high grade, and there's not much to it, but for what it is and its quality, again, I would say this is really, really nice. So overall, I'm gonna give my Wing Zero a 4 out of 5. So again, it's not a perfect model, but it still looks really nice. And honestly, for the nostalgia factor, I bought this. Again, Wing Zero, like I've said, one of my favorite mobile suits. So yeah, I still give it this a very, very good rating of 4 out of 5. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, share, subscribe, uh, comment, by the way. And don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! So far away.